We've got a NOAA sat coming in. It's NOAA 19 coming in nice and strong as it takes a pass across the Atlantic heading towards the north. So far the image is coming up pretty clean, so we're getting the black and white version coming up right now as it decodes, and then that will get transformed. This is getting followed by my antenna system, which is controlled by the PC, and right now we're using the right hand side antenna, this one here, and that's following the NOAA sat. So yeah, the image is still coming in quite well. As you can see, we've got a couple of broken lines, but they'll get cleaned up, and we're decoding. Current position of the NOAA 19 satellite. So we're getting a little bit of noise as we enter the last stages, and this is some of the fun you can have in the VHF bands. Right now we're on 137 megahertz and we're decoding a NOAA satellite, which happens to be NOAA 19, getting a weather image direct from the orbit as it passes nearby. Still receiving as we just about reach the edge of the footprint. And the image is, like I say, it's in black and white at the moment, but once the decode completes, the colour will be added, and a little bit of contrast and despeckling and other various stuff, so we can make out a pretty clean picture already, and shortly things will get even better. Yeah, so the software's WX to IMG, and that's going to take care of the cleanup and put the extra little bits that I mentioned, the despeckling, the better contrast. Before that happens, I've got it tracking the next pass. It does it automatically, so it won't start to clean up the image until it's received all the passes which are currently ongoing. So there's a continued pass which happened immediately, and that's taking place right now. That's across Europe this time, so we'll get a couple of images on this particular pass just before it drops dark here in the UK. So this one's coming in quite nice. This one's NOAA 18, so it's got a fairly good signal at the moment, and that is its current position. So got a decent reception on 137,912 megahertz. So right now we've got the range of 1789, 1790. That's the azimuth, and that's the elevation information, which is also matching the decoding software below, the exact same information, which is then relayed to my antenna, giving me the correct position on my control unit, which is manually adjusting with the software on the computer, which I've mentioned many times. So it saves having to mess about manually, makes life a bit easier, and that's all controlled from this unit here, which is the small interface, which you can't see too much. It's not too well illuminated, but it's not particularly big, and it just controls this piece of kit here. Also, we've got control of the radio, which is the FT847, so that's plugged in as well. That's the cat control there at the top right hand corner, and that helps to adjust the correct frequency. So we get the different frequency as the satellite approaches. The frequency will adjust to get the optimum signal. I also have an FM discriminator on the S meter, which tells us when we're on frequency. So looking at both bits of information, we can generally see what's going on. And of course the frequency matches what's read out on the satellite tracking software. And right now we're just about at the end of this footprint, this pass, so we should start to decode the images very soon. So we're still catching a bit of a signal as it gets right to the very edge of the footprint. The signal comes and goes, obviously, depending on what obstructions are in the way when we get such a low elevation, because right now we're down to 9.5, just over 9 degrees above the horizon. And this particular capture isn't the best, so the first one we got is a lot better. We had a much stronger signal throughout the pass. This one's a little bit weak, But again, we will be able to see some kind of information on the weather into Europe. It'll clean it up quite impressively once it starts to carry out this task. So that's the first one that we've just done. That came through quite nice. So as that's cleaning up now, you can see the various filters adding on. So that's the NOAA 19 pass with a couple of filters. It's still cleaning that one up. That will change automatically as the software does what it's supposed to do. The WX2 image. So that was the actual capture that we received. You can see more of it that side. That was the cleaner side there to the left. And right now we'll just wait and see what the next one cleans up like, and then I'll go through both of these images properly and let you have a good look. So it's quite fast how it does this for you, and quite impressive. The end result, I'll just raise the camera a little bit, and that's what we actually received, the raw image, black and white, once it's been fully decoded. So now we get the second image, which was from NOAA 18, and that's the coverage area which we were getting in reception. I'm just going to squash the radio up. That was the actual raw image. That's the thermal image coming on, and then we'll just see how it cleans up. So that's the 2 channels of reception, and it'll just add a little bit more contrast, add a bit of colour to the image. So that's the area of reception that we did actually receive on that particular pass, and as you can see, it didn't look much when we first received it, so that's what it actually looked like. So just going to run you through what we've decoded. Just stop recording there and we'll have a quick look. So the first image that we got was it looked like this pretty much. Make sure I get the right pass. So we've got NOAA 19, so that's the full image popped up. So we started receiving it over the north of Africa, across the Mediterranean, and then as we got closer, the quality of the image cleaned up nicely, and that's what we've got. But we've got various different viewpoints of this image. So this is another one that looks quite impressive. It's all the same image, cleaned up, the NOAA 19, and just have a look at that one. So as you can see, you've got quite a few options to look at, different ways of looking at the information you're getting. That's the real image, because it's actually dropped dark this side, and you can actually see the grey line right about there. We've got darkness here, and we've got daylight that side. So that's NOAA 19, the first one that we got. Looks pretty impressive. And we'll just have another look at the final one, which was this one. Probably we'll start with that. So that's the raw image, and then that got transformed into something resembled that. So you get an idea of the cloud mass, obviously not as clear, and it's in darkness as well. So the image of today has to be this one, and quite happy with that. That looks pretty good. But saying that, some of the other ones I've received are also equally as clean, like this one. That's a good one, the same one cleaned up. And then we'll look at a previous pass from yesterday, which I checked out. I think that's a NOAA 18, that's an earlier pass. So it's all good fun operating these satellites, well, say receiving, decoding, and then we have more passes and various information coming through from the various pictures that you can receive and download, all for free. So a quick roundup on what happened there. We decoded a couple of weather images directly transmitting from satellites orbiting above, relatively low Earth orbiting satellites with a large area of transmission, which we call a footprint, operating on 137 megahertz, and I was using my Yaesu FT847, but any good FM receiving radio of 137 megahertz or SDR will do the trick. And then the antenna I use, I've got a 12 element X-pole, Innovate X-pole, and I've got the G5500 rotator system. All that's controlled by the control unit, the G232 interface plugged into the computer, and then the software I was using. There were 2 types of software. The tracking software was SAP PC32, and the actual decoding software was WX to IMG. This is M0YKS, just playing around in the Radio Shack. A little bit of satellite weather decoding once again. Thanks for watching, and hope you got something out of the video. Catch you on the next one soon.